Peace and blessings, everyone. This is Naseed Gifted coming to you live from PBS Media Studios. And today we have a very, very important topic for you. Today, we're going to go over, just got to make sure everybody is listening, how to master the art of selling part two. So last week we went into part one and all the different strategies and techniques on how to be able to sell your product or service or even improve your relationship. So this week we're going to talk about the power of the words that you say. So as we get started, let me just quickly introduce myself. My name is Naseed Gifted. I'm an educator, engineer, and writer of an Afrofuturism sci-fi series called PB Soldier. And we're going to get into how it came about developing this whole presentation. And a part of this presentation comes from some source material of Tom Hopkins. And Tom Hopkins pretty much talks about how to master the techniques of selling anything. We talk about products, services, and everything. But one of the part of the presentation, and that's why we made a part two to this, is how your words inflict power and how words can make or break a deal. So we're going to talk about the 8 words to avoid when you're making an opportunity for someone. See, and we're going to be practicing this throughout. So generally, people have fear in the words that you say, and that also can make or break a deal. So we're going to talk about the 8 words to avoid in sales. Before we get started, we want to know where you're tuning in from. So please put your name and location in the comments below. So your name and location in the comments below, and we're getting ready to get started. So number 1, words to avoid: cost or price. When you're talking about developing an opportunity for someone, you want to use the words instead of cost or price, because everyone is always thinking about their money and how the monthly bills got to come each and every month. So when you talk about cost or price, we want to replace those words with total investment or total amount. Words to avert numbers 2 and 3, down payment and monthly payment. These are absolute deal breakers because you can get them to say yes with your tie-down questions. You get them back and forth with the porcupine, and now you getting into either the paperwork or just having them do a down payment. And they like, oh, down payment, no, or a monthly payment. They're like, oh man, now they counting their money. They're looking at their bills for the month, and they're like, nah, I don't think I want to do that. So when we talk about those things, we want to be able to replace them, and we don't want people to be stressed out, right? Because they're going to be thinking about that monthly bill. They're going to be thinking about that down payment. So when you were talking about any of those things, we're talking about initial investment or initial amount. So to be able to replace down payment or monthly payment with initial investment, because you want them to think about ownership, not purchasing something. Number 4 word to avoid: contract. When we talk about a contract, they thinking about signing their life away. What grandma has told them, what mom and dad have told them, their uncles have told them, and once they sign that piece of paper, it's all over. So contract is something that gets people real jittery. So when we talk about that, we want to replace that with paperwork or agreement. So you want to talk about the paperwork that they have to do or the agreement that they need to make in order to make this transaction go forward. Words number 5 and 6. So buy is one of those things that people want to avoid, or sell or sold. That talks about what we talked about in part 1, where we talk about people don't want to be sold. So when we talk about buy, sell, or sold, we want to talk about ownership. See, when you talk about buy, they think about going into the market. They think about, all of these things that they have to accumulate, as far as being a consumer. But when we talk about ownership, ownership is having them being a part of the investment, part of the deal, so they can understand that this is something that they need to have within their lives. So they don't want to be bought or sold. They don't want to buy anything, but they would rather own something. And then also when we talk about that, we also talk about, we want to get them involved. So instead of saying sell or sold, we want to get them involved. We want to help them acquire. Those are the words that we want to replace with sell or sold. Number 7, deal. When you talk about deal, in our minds, we're thinking about a handshake. We're thinking about, helping them acquire the opportunity. But a deal is something like a deal breaker. So when you talk about deal, you want to give them words like opportunity. You want to give them words like transaction. And then, of course, the handshake that you're talking about is that having them co-sign or endorse the opportunity or transaction. So the number one deal breaker when you get all through all of this stuff. So we're avoiding the contract. We're talking about paperwork. We're talking about agreement. And then it comes down to them to actually sign it. Right. So now sign it. They're like, people have reluctance on signing things because they think about the down payment, which is their initial investment or their monthly investment. And you want them to endorse it. You want them to okay it. You want them to authorize it. These are all replacement words for sign it, because you want to use language to empower people and to get them involved. And this is something that you want to be able to do throughout the opportunity, not the deal, but the opportunity. So you want to be able to use these words to be able to empower the consumer, to get them involved in the opportunity that that's coming forth to them. So as they are okaying it, authorizing it, approving it, and authorize it as what they would like to do, this, or authorize it as they would do a check, this is something that you want the individual that you are partnering with to be happy and glad about. So we want them to be able to believe in your product or service. So you want them to believe in your product or service. And you, as a salesman, you want them to, buy what you sell. And the main thing with all of this is you got to help them get involved. This is a part of, nobody wants to be bought, sold, or anything. So you got to help them get involved and show the benefits of them either being a part of your product or services. So there it is, everyone. The 8 words to avoid in sales. And when you're presenting an opportunity to someone, these are the words that you want to use to empower the buyer. So that's a part of how to master the art of selling part 2. Remember, if they like you, they trust you, then they will want to listen to you. So continue to be able to practice these principles and you will master the art of selling anything. So if you like any of the information that we're providing, please put that in the comments below. Tell us what word that you heard during this presentation resonated with you, and then how you're going to use another word to replace that, so you do not, cause any individual that you're working with to, not want to purchase your product or service or want to invest in your product or service. So make sure that you tune in, put those comments below. We love to hear from you. And then also next week, make sure you stay tuned, because we're going to talk about how it is to be Black and vegan. So, and then also how to eat healthy on a budget. So those are the topics that we're going to be talking about next week. So stay tuned. I want you to continue to stay focused. And I would be remiss if I don't take the opportunity to give my condolences, my deepest condolences and sympathy to the family of Chadwick Boseman. May you rest in power. Wakanda forever. Long live the Black Panther. Remember, everyone, stay focused and always resist. Peace. Don't forget to subscribe to PB Soldier.